Hello! In the last serial, we learned about Bob Yancey's exploits in the Navy during the Second World War. Today, you will hear Bob tell you about his combat experience during the Korean conflict. He arrived as a replacement troop right after the U.S. forces accomplished their surprise invasion at Incheon. The Army then moved quickly to retake the capital city of Seoul and then started north toward the Chinese border. It was a brutal fight in frigid temperatures that ranged from 30 to 40 degrees below zero. Let us join Bob Yancey as he's interviewed by the historian Mike Panarella.
So pick up your military record from Incheon, which would have been September 50 on.
A particular time they have what they call repo depots. Mm-hmm. That's where soldiers are in transit,
right,
to their from one point to another point in order to join a unit.
Right.
So I went over on a ship, and when I got there, they sent me to this repo depot. Mm-hmm. So the colonel saw the stripes on my arm, and he called me over there, and he says, "You take your first 500 guys over there and get the Cosbeline off of their weapons, and get back to me, and I'll tell you what your perimeter is to cover for the night."
Right.
So I said, "Well, where's your front line at?" He said, "Right here." I said, "I'll be there."
Now you were with the 24th, and at that time, 24th Infantry was all colored at that time.
Well, yeah, all black units with white officers.
Right.
They started to integrate slightly. A couple of companies had black officers, mm-hmm. but all of them was line officers, what they call line officers, below the rank of colonel.
Right.
Okay, or rather, I should say, below the rank of mate.
And then you push north. Did you see a lot of combat then?
Oh yes, we lost a lot of men.
At that time, you're fighting the North Koreans.
Right, right.
Explain the combat there and what it was. What you were
well, you know what we had. We had what they call skirmishes.
Right, skirmishes.
Yeah, and you fight it and take a hill, and then you move on, and maybe 4 or 5 skirmishes before you get to your destination. They put me in what they call S2, Infantry Intelligence.
Right.
So I had to make what they call contact patrols. Mm-hmm. I carried 9 men and 2 interpreters.
Right.
And I would infiltrate the line and find out the strength of the enemy.
Right.
And then and try to avoid my exposure, mm-hmm. or shooting and everything, and get out of there. Right. And report my findings. So the battalion and upper echelon know what they're confronted with.
Correct.
So a lot of men, we lost them through hand grenades and booby traps, mm-hmm. and so forth. Of course, they were known to booby trap the areas.
Right.
To make a long story short, we had the North Koreans beat, and we got up to the Yellow River, at what they call Kunari. Mm-hmm. First Cav was up there. Said, "Man, we ain't fired a shot in 3 days." I said, "Man, well, we got it made." Hey,
and you thought you were going to be home by Christmas. Right?
Yeah, right. So then, all of a sudden, all hell broke loose.
Chinese enter the war. 350,000 Chinese come across the Yalu River.
Them Chinese came across that border like a plague.
November of 1950, the Chinese entered the war. How did the war change for you then?
They completely surrounded us.
Right.
And that's when the captain, CO, instructed us to break it up into small groups,
right,
to infiltrate the line, mm-hmm. and to join friendly forces.
Right.
And that's what we did. Mm-hmm. And my group was very fortunate. We got out of there.
Did you see human wave attacks?
Oh, yes. Yes, with bayonets like? And hand grenades flying in the air, you know, and there was actually physical contact. There was no...
they were that close?
Hell yeah, definitely.
And talking to other Korean War veterans, that's what they say. that part was very, very, like, it was crazy. It was
Oh
all
yeah,
right.
yeah.
There was 300,000, they were on you and things like
Right,
that.
and you know, and the fact is, these guys are little guys,
Mhm.
you know, and it was cold.
Right. That's it.
It was 30 to 40 below zero.
Good, good. Now, we were talking about Korea, and the Chinese came in. We were talking about how cold it was. And at that point, what caused the desegregation of the United States Army at that time?
All was under President Truman executive order in 9981, complete desegregation in the service, when all units had to be integrated. And at that time, I was in the 24th Infantry Regiment, 25th Division, known as the Buffalo Soldiers. And the Buffalo Soldiers was from 1866 up until 1951, when they was under President Truman executive order. And then when they deactivated them in September 1951, they put in the 14th Infantry that was integrated. And that's when they sent me home. By that time, I had 18 months in Korea. I was ready to go.
The Korean War had a lifelong impact on Bob Yancey's quality of life. He had frostbitten feet during the Yellow River Campaign. This caused him discomfort and foot pain for the remainder of his life. I recommend that you read Dale Halbestan's book, The Coldest Winter, to gain a full understanding of the viciousness of that winter campaign. The book is available in most libraries and in recordings. Bob remained in the Army and was called to fight again. This time it would be Vietnam. He then served as a combat medic. Join me next week and we'll learn about his actions in saving lives on the battlefield. But before we close, may I once again ask that you make a contribution to the museum to help defray the cost involved in producing these living history programs. You know, you can make a tax-deductible donation to the Armed Forces Heritage Museum by visiting the museum's website at www.afhmus.org. So, see you next week, and stay safe.